Folks, hello again. Last Friday, the annual meeting of the Chinese Communist Party's Central Committee effectively granted Xi Jinping a historic third five-year term as president of China. It's going to be cemented next year. It was a foregone conclusion anyway, given that the Chinese government's ban on serving more than 2 five-year terms as president was lifted back in 2018. Xi has a long-term plan for China, which the party sees as inextricable from China itself. As the communique from the Central Committee's meeting said, Xi's ideology is the essence of Chinese culture. His consolidation of power is the classic act of a dictator who has jailed his critics and convinced everybody else that he is the only person with the vision to run the country. We've seen this movie many times before. Vladimir Putin was the most recent authoritarian leader to do it, changing the Russian constitution to allow him possibly another 2 6-year terms after he'd done this in the past. Whatever political trickery Xi has used to increase his stranglehold on power in China, he is now applying to international diplomacy. Referring to Australia and the new AUKUS alliance, Xi said last week the Asia-Pacific region cannot and should not relapse into the confrontation and division of the Cold War era. Wait a minute. Isn't China the one building up its forces and loading up international waters in the South China Sea with illegal military bases? Isn't it increasing its nuclear weapons, making hundreds of incursions into Taiwanese airspace? China is at the very least preparing for war. One move on Taiwan and it could be on. And if Australian troops rush to defend Taiwan, China's Global Times warned on Friday, then it would be unimaginable that China won't carry out a heavy attack on them and the Australian military facilities that support them. I recently spoke to Australia's Defence Minister Peter Dutton on that very topic and what alliances will form.
If you look at China, who are their friends? Well, for convenience, Russia. Are they a decades-long friend? Have they fought in wars together? Of course not. On the other side of the ledger, you've got the rest of the world.
China does have the world's biggest navy. It's a massive military machine. But what could it be up against?
No country wants to go to war with China, and no country wants to be at war with China. And who would come to the aid of the United States? Well, NATO would, and we know that our Five Eyes partners would. We know that India is very concerned about their own situation, and we know that Japan sees this as an existential threat to them as well. I mean, you list off many countries, Singapore, Malaysia, that must make China think twice about their actions. So I think there is every reason for China to hesitate.
I spoke to dozens of people for a new 2-part documentary about China, which airs on Sky News Australia this week. Former Prime Ministers, Foreign Ministers, Defence and Trade Ministers, businessmen, dissidents, diplomats, the whole lot, both in Australia and abroad, for a comprehensive look at China's relationship with us and the world. Now, China has done many great things, but since Xi came to power, it has become more assertive, hostile, while at the same time overly sensitive. Remember, it severed a trading relationship with Norway, of all places, because it didn't like who the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to. China's status as a global power will not diminish. It will continue to agitate its neighbours if it doesn't get what it wants. Xi is now likely to be president for life, which means he'll be the boss for a few more decades if the 68-year-old stays in good health. But trouble will find him, if not from outside forces, then from within, when a growing middle class tires of being told what to do and what to think, because we've seen that movie before as well. China Rising, my 2-part documentary, is on Sky News Australia at 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, November 16, and Wednesday, November 17. And if you want to support my YouTube channel, please like, share and subscribe below. I'll see you next week.